Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Rachel Roller. On this date 4 years ago, Green Beret Staff Sergeant Brian Black and 3 other soldiers were killed in an ambush in West Africa. Joining us now to share her story is Gold Star widow and author of the book Sacrifice, a Gold Star widow's fight for the truth, Michelle Black. Michelle, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I truly cannot imagine how difficult it must be to be with us talking about this on the anniversary of your husband's passing. Why do you feel that it's so important to do so?
You know, I think there are so many times where incidents happen and the families are left, we need to know the details about what happened to the men on the ground. And all too often, those at the lowest levels are pushed aside or punished for things that are the responsible, that those higher up the chain are responsible for. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. Those at the lowest levels who were just simply following orders were then blamed for what actually happened to them.
And Michelle, I know this is something in your book that you go into great detail of exactly what was going on, what happened, who should be held responsible. Catch our audience up to speed a little bit. Why were American soldiers in Niger, Africa, and what is it that went wrong?
Our soldiers were there in a by, with, and through capacity. In other words, they were there to train Nigerian partner forces because the Nigerians are an ally of ours, and we were there just to train their forces so that they could protect their own borders from the growing threat of violent extremism. So that is why they were there. Unfortunately, they were sent on a mission that went outside that capacity. And it ended up in the death of my husband and 3 other men, Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, Staff Sergeant Dustin Wright, and Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Johnson.
I want to say I thank your husband so much for his service and for the service and sacrifice that you have to deal with, especially now without him here. Michelle, in 2018, the New York Times wrote about this ambush with the headline that said an operation in Niger went fatally awry. Who is the Army punishing? Who do you think is responsible here?
I believe that those at the upper echelons who ordered the mission and continued pushing the men ahead, despite those on the ground, particularly Captain Perazini, who said over and over, this is not a good mission. We are not comfortable with this. We request to return to base. While he was punished, those higher up the chain who ordered the mission and pushed them ahead, a Lieutenant Colonel Painter, Colonel Moses, and many more who approved the mission and sent them ahead, those are the ones who were responsible.
And let me ask you, in the wake of your husband's story and now fast forward 4 years to what happened in Afghanistan as President Biden ordered the pullout of troops there, what is it that you would like to see from the U.S. military for not only your family, but so many others?
We would love transparency. And it's very obvious to us when there is no transparency. And that lack of transparency shows a huge lack of respect for the sacrifices we make. Those sacrifices are not just when we, lose, when our husbands give up their lives or our sons give up their lives in service to their country. Every day, just the lifestyle of those who serve this country is that of sacrifice. And I expect, and I think all the families do, those sacrifices should be respected with the truth at a minimum. And a lot of times we're not getting that transparency or that truth.
And something that you started with at the beginning of this interview, saying the people left behind, the family members that just have to continue their life without those answers, not providing closure, not providing the essential tools in order to continue your life in some capacity, which would understandably never be the same. Michelle, I can imagine it wasn't easy to write this book about what happened to your husband, how you're pushing forward. Again, there's the book Sacrifice, a Gold Star widow's fight for the truth. Why did you find it so important to write this book quickly before we have to go?
Because the men on the team have no one to fight for them. They were being blamed, and this happens all too often, and the only people who can stand up for them are the family members. They had no one left that they could trust. I already lost my husband. I had nothing left to lose. It was so important to show these men and to show the military officials that they can't just keep doing this. At some point, we will put our feet down and we will stand up and say enough. And
Michelle,
that's what this was about.
Your strength is so inspiring. There's so many people that I think have been in a position like yours that couldn't find that strength and fight through it to do what you've done, write the book, demand answers. I hope you get everything you're looking for, and I really thank you for joining us this morning. Our thoughts are with your family.
Thank you so much for having me.